Hello, I'm filmmaker Archie Wright.
Hello, and I'm ball painter Tim Baker.
Where tradition turns into stories and stories turn into laughter. Stay tuned because this
Is the Shrovetide Podcast.
They all play hard, they all play well, but there's always stories to be told. That is why I have the great honor to say, Archie Wright and Tim Baker, are you ready for the stories? Who will the guest be today? When the ball is rocked in red, white and blue, and the man tries his best, the players get stories, which is why we are here. Archie Wright and Tim Baker. Who is the guest today?
So your granddad was the first person to sing the Shrovetide song at the luncheon. If you got asked to do that, would you do the same to, like, in memory of him?
I probably would, Archie, but I can't sing very well.
So, Andrew, your granddad Arthur Froggatt was a Shrovetide stalwart of yesterday. Would you like to tell us a little bit about him?
Well, my granddad Arthur Froggatt was Ashbourne born and bred, and he was born in, I think, 1906. And he was in Ashbourne Choir for 60 years plus, I think, in St Oswald's Church. He became the secretary for Shrovetide. He was secretary for probably 20 or 21 years, I think. And I think he was one of the first people to sing the Shrovetide song at the luncheon.
Yeah.
When my granddad became secretary, the luncheons were very, very small. And, perhaps a dozen people sat in the Green Man. And my granddad promoted it, probably to try and promote Shrovetide and make it bigger and try to make it more a thing for Ashbourne rather than a few people around a table. And that's what he did. And he was the start of where the meals have got to today, I would think.
Absolutely, yeah. And he was, as you say, the first singer of the Shrovetide song in 1956.
Yes, we're very proud of that, and we've got a cassette at home where he did an interview with Radio Derby and sang the Shrovetide song.
Marvellous.
On Radio Derby. We've got that on cassette, Tim, if you ever want to.
Yeah, that's lovely. It's nice to have that kind of memory, isn't it, of your granddad.
So do you have any other funny little stories on Shrovetide?
I don't know about funny stories. There's funny things happen all day, Archie, really. In the hug, everybody's having a laugh all the time, really. It's not what it's perceived to be by a lot of people. There's a lot of camaraderie goes on in the hug, although it's a very hard and harsh place to be sometimes. I've seen some crazy things. I can't remember the year, it was probably early 90s. I saw Joe Moss run across Ashbourne Fish Pond. Run across it, it was frozen solid. And we were all teetering about on the edge like sparrows. We don't follow him because you could hear it cracking as he went, and he made it. He went right across, straight across Ashbourne Fish Pond. He was a good player, Joe was.
Don't see the fish pond freeze much now, do
No,
we?
but it used to be so cold, Tim. It used to be so cold.
Rarely.
I once went over Nestle's weir, probably the same time as Harry's lads chucked me out that time. Over that weir at the back of Nestle's, that sorted you out. There'd be about a dozen men drop over there and one come out.
Did you ever play any river?
Always.
So, before you go in, when you actually go in, is it like a shock or is it not much of a shock because, you're after the ball?
When that water first hits you?
It's a shock if you drop straight in, yeah. But, normally you start by wading across and things like that. You don't normally dive straight in. That's for your fish pond men. I have been in the fish pond, but as uppers, we've got fish pond men, we've got battleships and cruisers and infantry and anti-tank guns and everything.
Military precision.
We've got somebody for everything.
Yeah. So, can you tell us what you've got painted on your ball?
Yes, I can, yeah. on this side here, I've got ancient Royal Shrovetide football. Ancient because it is ancient. You see that on a lot of balls. This is the Queen's crown, because we had the Queen at the time. It was turned up by J.F. Newing. I think he was Chief Superintendent of Derbyshire Police Force, I think. Picture of one of my old dogs here. I used to like working terriers. Got my other working terrier on the front there, Jack Russell. I've had upwards and downwards put on here because I've got great respect for both. We've got to respect each other. So I've got downwards written on my ball as well as upwards. We are one team together, except for at Shrovetide. On the other side, I've got a Normandy cow. I go to Normandy a lot. It's a place I love. God Save the Queen. My two daughters' names, Lisa and Nicola. My wife's name, Gillian. The Union flag. And my granddad's name, Arthur Froggatt, because he always said I'd never score. I did bang it on his headstone at 2 o'clock in the morning after the game.
Fantastic. So obviously, Shrovetide's in your blood. I used to work at Windmill Extrusions when you were foreman there, and it was in your blood then, obviously. A lot of Shrovetiders at one point did work there, didn't they? So taking you right back to when you was a kid now, watching Shrovetide, what effect did that have on you as a kid? Obviously it had some effect because you went on to be a good player.
Well, I wasn't born in Ashbourne. I'm Ashbourne bred. My dad worked for Nestles. We call it Nestles, it's Nestle, isn't it? My dad was man and boy for Nestles. It was the only job he ever had. He had a spell up in Cumbria where I was born. I was born up there in 1965, moved here in 1976, age 11. So my first game of Shrovetide was 1977, aged 12.
Wow.
And but before that, we used to come to Ashbourne to see my grandparents because they all lived here and we lived in the north. And from a very early age, my mother always spoke about Shrovetide, and my dad as well. And my granddad rather, he lived on Buxton Road, just up the road here, opposite what was then Schimmel's shop, in a cottage next to a building that was the White Horse, and then the White Lion was above. White Lion was my granddad's favourite boozer. And in his wardrobe he had this, which is a 1947 ball, which my granddad was given.
Wow.
And this was the first Shrovetide ball I ever touched.
Amazing.
There was nothing else about, and this was in the wardrobe. He was given it, my granddad was, he was on the committee, and in those days they probably didn't think so much of him as we do now. Anyway, this came into my granddad's possession. It's now in my cousin's possession, it was left to him. And this is the first ball I ever touched, and from when I touched this I was probably about age 7, and it does something. It triggered something.
Right.
It triggered something, Archie, in me, that did. And so this is the first ball I ever touched.
Incidentally, just for those that know, this is actually the first ball that was ever made by Percy Chadwick.
Really?
He started in 1947 making them jointly with Trevi Omens, and you can tell it's a Percy Chadwick by the stitching. Right. So that's probably the first ball Percy ever made, for those that are interested in such things.
Yeah.
Remnants of the original paintwork as well.
The paint stayed on.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I'll have to go back and find out what they used.
Probably lead.
Because that would have been played till midnight because it wasn't gold.
Yeah, it wasn't gold. Yeah, it wasn't 47 a bad winter game.
Deep snow, mate. Yeah.
So that's that.
What do you reckon to that, Archie?
It's quite heavy, isn't it? It's quite heavy.
Yeah, so that I mean, look at the scars on that. It's had a beating, that one has.
It does.
And so that, for me, the first time I ever touched a Shrovetide ball was age 7.
Wow.
A lot of people talk about coming in pushchairs. I never had that privilege.
No. Probably not a good thing in the modern game.
No. But that was what started it for me, and that still does mean something to me.
To you, yeah, because also you've got that memory connection with it, haven't you?
And my cousin Graham Froggatt, who owns it now, he was very kind of him to let us
borrow thanks today. To him, absolutely.
So if your cousin turns to you and says, I might have it repainted, what would you say to him?
I've already told him he mustn't. They're only original ones.
And to be fair, in all honesty, that one is a very rare example of Jack Barker's artwork. work, because that was thrown up in 47. Jack Barker died in 48.
Right.
So there's very few of his artwork. I only know of half a dozen that exist. And that's not many, if you think about it, considering he painted the balls for 70 years.
Right.
There's only half a dozen exist to this day.
Yeah, so it's quite an important one.
Absolutely.
So, do you remember the first year you played Shove Tide?
Yeah, 1977. And my mother made me go down in Wellingtons. Of course, they filled with water straight away, and then she said, well, you shouldn't be getting in the river at your age, and told me off when I got home.
Really? So in those days, who stood out to you player-wise in them days? Who sort of were you noticing at that point in the river?
I've been thinking about this, and I've played in the river all my time. I'm never any good at running, and river play always excited me. I used to see these lads, the Downers were fantastically strong in the river in those days, and they had some real good men. I can remember Ernie Grant playing, and the other one, is it John? I don't remember Jimmy Grant playing. They had some marvellous players in those days. Just loads of them, and the Renshaws, you see, Jed Weston was a nuisance to me. All my Shove Tide life, Jed Weston's been a nuisance, and he still would be today. Wonderful people, just wonderful players, hard players, gave us nothing. We had to earn it.
With a different game then, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Hubs were a bit smaller, but I think sometimes they were maybe tougher. And this is when I'm talking about, like when I'm sort of 15. Now, you know, Harry and them lot. I never remember Harry apart from anything as a great player. I can remember Harry going down the river, back of the flying club, breaking the ice, and I can remember being the only fool that would jump in front of him at the back of Nestles, and he'd remember. And I wondered if anybody got a picture of that. I was probably about 15. It was absolutely freezing cold, and he'd got two soldiers helping him walking down the river.
Really?
He'll remember they'd come out of the Marines.
And there was ice on the river.
There was one each side, and they were smashing the ice going down the river. And I thought,
amazing.
I'm an uppity here. I've got to get in. And I got in, and Harry says, "You'll get one, Jordy, you will." And I thought, well, I'm going to have to get one because nobody else was getting in, and I did get one.
You did get one, yeah, absolutely.
But, one of these soldiers chucked me out of the way and chucked me into the riverbank, so I was lucky I didn't get poked.
You get poked.
But I would have done.
But that's the way Shove Tide's played, isn't it?
He told me.
You know, we can't. Yeah. He had the manners to tell him, but we can't. You know, disguise the fact that it's that kind of game, isn't it? It isn't a game for the faint-hearted at all.
There's a time and a place where you don't put your head.
Yeah, absolutely. So you say you're river play. Just for the people who might be watching this that aren't river players and probably don't even play at all, what does it feel like being in a hug? What's your feelings on what does it feel like physically being in that hug when there's all those people around you?
For me, it was always drive, keep moving, keep moving, put the ball down or put the ball up. I mean, at one time, when the hugs became really tight, I used to have not much trouble to get on the ball in the middle. It's different now, but I used to get on the ball in the middle. And then if there was downers all around, I just used to pick my feet up, Tim. And gravity would take me down and they'd say, "He's going down."
Yeah, right.
And then you'd get on the floor.
Do you get used to the compression of it? Or not?
Yeah, I think when you're younger, it's probably easier. Now my sort of rib cage doesn't want to stand it, and it's telling you that. So you've got to be careful, you know, because you don't want to bring anything into the game like a bad injury.
No.
You know?
Archie, who does these podcasts, who invented these podcasts, is thinking of playing this year. So what advice would you give to Archie for getting in the hug for the first time?
Pick your moments, Archie. Pick your moments when the hug's small enough and you're not going to get crushed. Don't go in it when it's big.
No.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't suggest to go in it when it's first turned up then?
No. No, we've never really gone for that area of the play. That's we'll just let people wear themselves out then. You know, let it get pushed about and that. Being the sort of hug player, we always preferred grass under our feet, of course, as the Downers know.
Because you can get injured, can't you?
Yeah, but in town, in the streets it's not too bad because you've got the streets that stop the hub getting too big and that, but when you get stationary play and you're up against a wall and everybody's just coming in and it's stuck in a corner somewhere, like it was up against home base the other year, it's just ridiculous. There's nothing to be gained from that. Just loose the ball, keep it moving. You know, no one's going to get a ball if it's stuck in one place. No one's having that. Now, you get these older players and they'll say, oh, well, that's what we want 0-0s, we don't want you to score. And I think that's been the difference between upwards and the downwards for the last few years. We've always played to score. We've always took chances where the downwards have always sort of played for us not to score, to stop us from scoring, and in doing so they've ruined their own chances a little bit, I think. You know, because
Interesting.
There's loads of places where I could tell you about where the ball's been stuck at 10 o'clock at night, and you just think, why? Just ridiculous, because even if you're 2 fields from Sturston, it doesn't mean it's going to Sturston. If you're 2 fields from Clifton, it doesn't mean it's going to Clifton. You're not there till you're there.
No.
I mean, in my early days at Shrovetide, when we used to get to, I think Mark Ellerby's was the first ball we pushed to Sturston, and we were so elated with that, we never thought we'd ever do it, because in the early 80s, we were just losing all the time. It was getting embarrassing. And we all had to sort of book our ideas up and think, what we're going to do about this, lads? And, you know, Mick Wright came along and he pulled us together. It was all about, you know, helping each other. And
Lenny Lyons said the same thing.
We genuinely, really, most of us didn't play for ourselves. We played for a goal.
Right.
And we'd discuss that when we got there, but let's get it there first. We weren't really playing individually, we were playing for the honour of the upwards to try and score, just to try and score.
As a team affair.
Because as soon as it went dark, the runners had it, and off it went. You know, we'd push it round Ashbourne all day long, and then it'd start going a bit dark, and it was almost guaranteed it'd go, and Paddy or Jeff or somebody, or you know, one of them had got it, and it came to the stage where we daren't let it out the river. We just daren't let it out the river. In fact, people would be punched for throwing it out of the river, Tim.
Really?
You know, and then Mick came along and he said, look, if we do get it, we're going to wait. We're not going to go and goal it just like that. We'll have a draw, we'll have a fair draw, and that's exactly what happened. You know, we did.
Which
throw
gave
it out
River players a chance to
gave us all a chance. Yeah, I mean,
otherwise it'd all be runners, wouldn't it? Goaling balls all the time.
Mick and Rob and Callas and you know, I don't like naming people, but you know, you've got to a little bit, because you can't say all the names of everybody.
No,
they're all great people, and you know, they've got the upwards so many balls. They really have. You know, Mick's fieldcraft, if he's away in the dark, he was gone. He was going to Sturston, that was that.
Yeah, Archie?
So ultimately then, altogether, how do you think it changed from being from all downwards more to upwards?
Well, I don't think it did. I still think there's plenty of downwards, but the downwards we played were harder men. They were, I mean, I tried to make a list the other day. You've got Harry, and Neighbour, and Darren, Tomo, Baggy, Pete Mellor, Nick Foreman, Don Blenkinsop, John Lomas. There's so many names that we used to come up against in the river. Young Fred Stafford, Nick Adams, Dougie Maron. How did we ever score at all? I don't know, because these were hard knocks.
They were RGs. But I remember, for me personally, going to Shrovetide from an early age. I remember the very first, because it never really went to Sturston much.
No. Well, this is
and the only one I remember when Steve Bott goaled it, and me and my friend had no clue how to get to Sturston. We got up top of Buxton Road, Belper Road, and we had no idea where it was, because it never went there. You see, you know, we got lost.
We used to get down and say to us, you know, oh, you know, are you coming down this week? It'll go to Clifton again. And then we saw a video, and Yvonne and Harriet, they did a video, and she goes, oh, we're on the way to Clifton now, because the ball had gone. There was a film crew, went and set up a big platform, wasn't there, down at Clifton?
That's right.
Presuming it would go, well, no, this is just too much, no way. So we had to...
That's right, I forgot about that.
We had to start, Tim.
Yeah.
We had to do something, and Mick came along, and we all came along, we were all
think Mick was the organising factor of it all, got it all together, didn't he?
He spoke truth, you could trust him. And, you know, Doddy, another one, a number of them. And they all did very well, they were all very good at it. And they were all good at getting the ball away. And all of a sudden we weren't scared of letting the ball go. And somebody would come into the organ and say, you know, there's a good chance here.
So
and we used to
before
rip
all
it
these
out.
people came in and changed things, were as uppers, were you afraid to let the ball go out of the water if you got it?
We were in the 80s, yeah, because I mean, somebody would smack you
Yes.
if you chucked it down the river.
Absolutely. So in that instance, we've asked this of one or two people, you've named some names, and obviously you eventually goaled a ball. How many times did you come close before you actually goaled that one?
I've been close a number of times, but I never thought I'd score a ball. I mean, there was that one in 1992 when Mark Ellaby scored. I was in the middle on that when that was scored, and I can remember our upward leader, Steve Bott. That's when things sort of clicked for me a little bit. We were walking back from Sturston and he says, "You'll get one, Geordie, you did well." He put his arm around my shoulders and he said, "You did so well, you'll get one." And I never thought until he said that, because he's someone you listen to. Botty's done it all. And he had a hard time at Shrovetide, you know, we were pretty much alone at
He was, yeah,
player,
yeah,
see,
he
in
was,
those
yeah.
days, you know.
He was the uppers for a long time, wasn't
Yeah,
he?
well, he still is to us.
Him and Alan Kingston were the
I'll
two
tell you a story
yeah.
about him. But yeah, Botty put his arm around me on the way back and he said, "You'll get one, Geordie, you will." And I never thought about it until then, really, that I might have a chance. And then a couple of years later, we had 1995, didn't we?
Yeah.
Where it got to Sturston, it was too late and people were shouting, "Goal it, don't
Remember
goal
that,
it." We
yeah.
goaled it, it wasn't allowed, so that was me. That was heartbreaking, really, because I never wanted a ball like that. I always wanted a ball that was hard, you know. And then, of course, Steve Wright, Simon Ellaby, all these lads, we pushed all them up and had a good shout at them. We had draws for them, I was in them draws, and eventually it come good. But when it did come good for me, it was a bit sad, really. The date of the 24th of the 2nd, 98 is exactly a year to the day after my dad died.
Really?
So we never knew.
It's quite poignant then, wasn't it, that? Brilliant. Arch?
So from day one when you started playing, did you ever really think, I'm going to goal a ball?
No. You just don't think that, Archie, because, you know, the men that you're playing with, the uppers and the downers, they're absolute legends. They really are. I'm not a legend, I'm just a cog in a machine, really, perhaps a medium-sized cog, but, you know, I'm just a cog in that machine. You know, the people that we've played with, you know, you look at the names on the roll of honour, you look at these balls in here, and, you know, it's a huge, huge honour. You never think you'll score. I didn't, anyway.
But you know, a legend can only be a legend without all of them cogs. They can't just be a legend on their own. All those little cogs that you know you say you are and that make those other people legends or make a legend, because Shrovetide isn't it can be a single-handed affair, but very rarely. It's a team effort. And all those little cogs, as you call yourself, you know, go to make the legends that the game's created, because those legends, we've had lots of them. And whether you like it or not, mate, you're one of them. And those legends have been very, haven't they, Archie? They've been very modest about being referred to in that way. But like Lenny Lyons said, I think he hit the nail on the head for me, he said, in his eyes, anybody who plays Shrovetide, who puts the time in, and maybe goals a ball, but he said it didn't matter if you did or you didn't, is a legend to him, didn't
Well, on
he?
that note, what do you think makes a Shrovetide legend?
Me? What makes a Shrovetide legend is you get a gang of lads like we were together in those days where something just clicked. We were all manual workers. It was just another day at the office. When you had the day off, you didn't get paid for it, but you went and did your best. And, you know, the lads that I played with in my years were just amazing lads, and I'll be friends with them forever.
Who was instrumental in helping you get that ball when you goaled it? What players helped you along the way?
Well, I think Mick Wright and Dave Calladine, Mark Allen, Mark Ellaby. Yeah, probably quite a few of them, yeah.
Brilliant.
Because this ball, we were pushing it up. We were getting towards Thurston, but we were running out of time really, and we were running out of daylight, and the ball broke on that little weir above, going up past the fish pond, and it got run away with up there. I think George Ditchfield took it away and hid with it somewhere, and then it was dark by this time, and they had a draw for it up the fields, I think, and I won the draw. I was at Thurston at the time because on this particular day, with it being that day, I wasn't very interested in goaling a ball. And so I was just playing. My mum said, just go and enjoy it. And somebody came into the goal, called Nick, and he says, Geordie, we've got the ball up the field, we've had a draw, you've won it, prepare yourself. And I said, no. I said, give it Algie. I said, he chucked it out of the river to George. And he said, no, we've had a draw, you've won it. Pull yourself together.
Yeah, well, you don't get asked twice, do you?
So I walked up the field, and Mick took me up the field. One or two others come that had overheard the conversation. This is at the bridge. And we got up to one of them edges above Thurston. There were probably 100 men up there with this ball, and they gave it to me.
Very humbling, isn't it, to get that?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, I take it your granddad Arthur Froggatt wasn't alive when you goaled it.
No.
Was he around obviously when you played it? How did he feel about you playing it?
My granddad died in about 1982.
Right.
So I would be about 16. And the only time I saw my granddad at Shrove Tide, he used to get off the bus at Ashbourne bus station. I was in the hug outside the Green Man. I was actually carried in that hug with my feet off the floor because I wasn't very big. And I saw my granddad walking past with his little briefcase in the dark, and I went and walked him up. I walked him home and then came back. Yeah, but my granddad, when he used to sit at his table up here, eating his fig biscuits, drinking his tea, smoking, he used to say, "You'll never score." So it made it like a bit of a challenge.
Did your granddad play?
I don't know as he did. He probably did in his younger days, but I never saw him playing. I've never heard any stories about him playing. But he was diabetic as well.
Right, yeah. Harsh?
So, what would you say you prefer in a sort of playing sort of circumstance? A hug in the light or in the night, where it's light?
In the dark,
Is it in the dark?
In the dark,
Why is that?
In the dark, you can put your head where you wouldn't normally put it. In the dark, you can be in a hug full of downers so they don't know you're there. You can sneak the ball out in the dark. I mean, me and Phil Chell used to have a right good time just going in and getting the ball, and he'd pass it out to me on his knees, or I'd pass it out to him. You know, he was a good player, Charlie was. He's one that, perhaps should have scored in his time. Whether he will or not, I don't know. It'd be nice to see him chuck one up.
Yeah, never know, do you?
Pardon?
Would you chuck one up?
I would if they asked me, yeah, of course I would, but there's loads and loads of people they could pick that have done more for this game, you know. I mean, I'm of an age now where I'm sort of coming out of the game a bit now, and you start to realise what people have done to keep this game going. People that have organised it, the meals, it's just fantastic what people have done to keep this going.
Do you still play today, nowadays?
Yeah, I'll have a go, I'll have a bit of a shove. But, I've never been one for meals, and I've never really cared about who's thrown the ball up and things like that. We just be like, get it thrown up, let's play, you know. And I've been to a couple of meals now. They're just fantastic. They're amazing, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely, and the trouble that people have come to.
Yeah.
You know?
Started by your granddad.
Yeah.
Took it from 12 to about 100.
But I mean, yeah. And I mean, it's just an amazing thing that we must look after. You know?
I think also the dinners go a long way to get people close to Shrove Tide who don't play.
Exactly.
And they can get a feel for it. And I also think it's a good bit of PR as well. Yeah. To get dignitaries and local, businessmen and people who might not look at the game through the eyes that we did.
That was one thing my granddad did. He used to write off to celebrities and royalty, trying to get them to come and throw the ball up to give the game a bit of prestige and a bit of good publicity and things like that. But I think nowadays it's sort of it's gone past that. Nearly wants winding back a bit. It's too big.
It is too. But what do you think that is? What do you think's made it too big?
Well, it gets the wrong publicity sometimes, but I mean, it's a very rare game, isn't it? Of course, the media now is everywhere, so it's easy to tell everybody in the
Do you
world.
think things like Facebook and YouTube and stuff
Yeah,
like that?
Facebook, YouTube, but it's down to people like us to promote the game for what it actually is. It's like Nigel says, it's a local game for local people.
I mean, Archie, what are your? I mean, we do this, don't we? Put this on YouTube, but what are your thoughts about that? Because obviously we're adding to the YouTube, but what do you think is different about what you and I are doing with these than the other things?
Well, we get players to say what their experience is on Shrovetide. When people come and do their own sort of documentary about it, what I've noticed is they say, oh, I'm going to be stuck, I'm going to fight people, and they make it seem like it's a day for fighting, but Shrovetide is so much more than that. We're not on here saying to people Shrovetide is for fighting, should come down and watch this game.
We're not even saying to people come along, are we?
We're not even saying people come to Shrovetide. We're getting stories from players and from Shrovetiders to preserve those stories, because like I said to you many times before, Tim, once the Shrove-Tider's gone, the stories go with them.
Absolutely, yeah.
So if you don't get the stories that they have, you're going to miss out on a whole lot of good stuff.
So speaking of stories, give us a good story you might remember.
I'll tell you a funny story. Alan Kingston, when I was about, I don't know, probably 12, 13, the ball was outside Ashbourne Tunnel in the daylight, and there were probably 50 men in the hug or something. That was quite normal in them days. And Alan Kingston used to wear this green overall with like an army belt on it.
That's right.
And this army belt had a hook on it, and you put a picture up on your Facebook.
It was a wide belt, wasn't it?
Yeah, wide coloured army belt. It had this hook on it. Well, I was just a kid, and I was trying to get in. I was always trying to get in and touch it. You all wanted to touch it, get under your fingernails. Yeah, that's it. You all wanted to do that. And anyway, I was getting there, and the next minute, Alan Kingston turned around, and I was stuck on his hook. His hook had gone through my belt or something here, and I was stuck on his back, and he was turning around trying to get me off, and he couldn't, because when he moved, I moved.
Yeah.
And then that other little fellow, what's his name, that used to collect all pictures of Ashbourne.
Mick Finnegan.
Mick Finnegan, that was him. Well, he was there, and he was going quite the way youth, and he was quite harsh looking, he was, if you know what I mean. He was sort of dead-eyed. He was lining up. I thought he would go chin me. And every time Alan Kingston moved, I moved, because I couldn't.
You were
I was stuck. And this Mick Finnegan said, "Come on, you're trying to be funny, you know."
Yeah, you were, no. Oh, bro. Get hooked up on an army hook in the middle of the water. Did you get off the hook after a while?
Yeah, come off the hook like. And then,
amazing.
Well, I was always wary of that Mick Finnegan after that.
I bet you were.
And Alan Kingston, I don't think he knew who I was, because he couldn't see me.
No.
So every time you saw the hook, every time you saw the man on the hook, you'd point and say, I need to stay away from him.
Fancy going into Shrovetide with a hook on your back.
Yeah, bloody hell, you can get hooked up and out, couldn't you? Really?
And I was stuck on it, and nothing I could do about it. I think probably because I looked so young, I'd probably go away with it. But
so Shrove-Tide's are also about making friends, forming bonds and relationships, isn't it? Was that true for you? Did you make lasting friends?
Yeah. Oh, Tim, yeah, it's been amazing. I mean, when you're into Shrovetide like I have been, everybody I know in Shrovetide, you work for them, they give you work, you get invited to everybody's weddings and christenings and parties outside of Shrovetide. You're a Shrovetide, you're part of a big family in Ashbourne, and it's upwards and downwards, After the game, 10 o'clock, that's it, we're all mates again, and that's how it's got to be.
Absolutely.
But though in Shrovetide, if one of your friends that was a genuine friend, was all like tired out, they needed a drink, you'd still want to help. You still help them out on the day as well, wouldn't you? Because it's instinct, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
So here's a question on the back of that then: if you had a best mate who was a downward, and you're obviously Ron Cuppard, would you help him goal the ball at the opposing end, or would you just not stand in his way?
I wouldn't stand in his way. I might help him, but I wouldn't tell anybody.
You probably just have. Brilliant.
Did you help anybody that was down and got the ball?
No, but I've stood sideways a time or two, you know. But
I think that's the good thing about Shrove Tide, isn't it?
I think it's given me just as much pleasure to watch my friends goal balls as it did to goal one myself.
Is it a similar feeling?
And I can say that with all honesty, because as a Hull player, when we get to Sturkeston, if we push a ball to Sturkeston, we are exhausted, you know, it's so hard. Every edge, every ditch, every field, it's so blooming hard, you know, and people don't realise just how hard it is. I know some down who plays, it's upward boring play and all this, like, well, it used to be the same in 80s, but going other way, I'm afraid, you know, the ball used to be run off, you know, you see it 4 hours, you know, and that was boring play as well.
So what is the rule now about running with the ball? What have you got? Is it an hour or something?
You're asking the wrong man.
I think you've got an hour, I think, to get away, I think, providing unless it's in play by several players.
I think you've got an hour,
It's about an hour, isn't it? Yeah. So,
it's not long.
No.
Really.
So you obviously showed us these 2 lovely balls, the one that you gold and the one that your granddad was gifted. Just lately, I don't know if you've noticed, there's been 1 or 2 balls coming up for auction and things. What are your thoughts on that?
Thoughts on that? Well, I'm a big believer in all Shrove Tide balls belong to Ashbourne Tim.
Right.
And if somebody has a Shrove Tide ball in the family and they don't want it, give it back to something like this place. Give it back to the town. It's the town's game. The town owns it. We all own it. And I don't agree with these balls going to auction and being ridiculously priced so somebody can buy it back into perhaps their own family. I get it, if you know, somebody needs the money, it's probably always been like that, but for me personally, I don't think they should be auctioned. I think if they're unwanted, they should be gifted back. That's where they've come from.
Let's be honest though, years ago there were never balls being flogged at auction. This seems a relatively new thing that's been happening over the last 6 or 7 years, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's given them a monetary value, hasn't it, instead of a family heirloom value. But no, I don't agree with that at all. I don't agree with these auctioneers pushing them in your face and parading them round and publicising it and then making everybody want to go and have a bid on it. If these balls, I don't know whether the committee could ever do something like that. Just say, look, we're giving you this ball, you've thrown it up, it is yours, well, you can't sell it.
Yeah, you mean, however, if you don't want it, at some point it has to come back to the town, Well, look, in the historical centre, we've got, as you can see going around, we've got a lovely selection of Shrove Tide balls, and some of them stay in here all year. And some kind players like Steve Wright loans his all year, and we've got Jimmy Grant's balls that have been in all year, and Nick Firm, 1 or 2 others. And it's lovely, isn't it, Archie, when people come in, especially visitors, and see them.
And you both work in.
Yeah, and we work here, don't we? And they come in and they see them and asking us questions about the history of them.
What I love about it is when people come in and then they come up and say, can you tell us about the Shrove Tide or where the goals and stuff? What I like is I've made somebody who doesn't know about the game happy that they've learnt something. You know, because people will probably look at the name Historical Centre and probably think, it might be boring. But when they come in here to see loads of Shrove Tide, you know, they probably think, this actually might be, walk around and then then they come and ask us questions.
You're doing a good job, lads. It's unique. It's very, very special.
And that's what we did with the podcast. We wanted to keep these memories alive. So, obviously, you still play a little bit today, and we've just a little bit. We've discussed some of these wrong stalwarts of the game. What do you see as the future of Shrove Tide?
The future of Shrove Tide, well, it's something that we've got to look after, and it's going to become harder and harder to look after, isn't it? We're very lucky, as in we've got loads and loads of people that do a lot for Shrove Tide, and there's lads outside boarding up as we speak in the blizzard, isn't there? And it's very hard, such a lot of people. We've got a good committee, the game's going forward. It seems like everything's okay, but we have got to look out for things like damage and things that paints us in a bad light. It's a game that our fathers and forefathers have managed to look after for this long, and we mustn't lose it on our watch.
Absolutely, well said. Yeah. So how as we're recording this, guys, it's Shrove Tide in a couple of days. How are you feeling?
All right. Yeah.
Do you still get excited? I mean,
Oh yeah.
yeah. You still get that?
Yeah, I used to dream about it, still do.
Yeah.
Would you say the excitement is the same to when you was a young lad?
Yeah.
Because I get excited ever so much about Sheriff Tide, and I always wonder, as I get older, will I still get the same excitement when I'm older and when I play more?
I don't see why you shouldn't, Archie, really. If it's a passion that's there, it'll always
It
be
will
there.
always be there, yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question. I've never ever asked you this in all the years I've known you, even when we worked at Windmill. Where do you get the nickname Geordie from?
Well, I was born at Carlisle, wasn't I? Which is West Cumbria, which isn't Geordie land. But when we moved to Ashbourne in the summer of '76, I had a very, very broad West Cumbrian accent, which they thought was a Geordie accent. So the name stuck.
I often wondered
Yeah.
where that came from. So,
I don't mind, it's an honour.
where is it? The camera's there, mate. You've got the Shrove Tiders tuning in. What would you like to say to the Shrove Tiders of Ashbourne?
I'd like to say, keep it hard, keep it fair, look after yourselves, look after the game, and we shall play it again. Up with it!
Ooh.
There's a town still plays this glorious game, though 'tis but a little spot, and year by year the contest fought from the field that's called Shawcroft. Then friend meets friend in friendly strife, the leather fort again, and they play the game right manfully in snow, sunshine, or